We're live. It's February 1st, 2021, and this is going to be the wrap up for January 2021. Earlier, we had done like a mid month update. Now, this is kind of the end of month update. Um, so we're not going to cover the things that we already talked about in the previous section for January 2021. This is basically covering the second half of this month. So to start, what do we got? What do you got? What do you got so far?
Oh yeah, no, but before we get into the meat, like we have like one thing to discuss, and I think that's an important one because I really feel people don't get like why this is so irrelevant in the end. Like for example, when they talked about like a Chinese influence on campus in the U.S. and they keep bringing up the Confucius Institute. Turns out one website posted the contracts with the details of what it entails to have a partnership with the Confucius Institute. And I was browsing through that and I was like, okay, it's very standard. And people are complaining that it gives too much power. I was like, no, actually, not that much. It's more like you give them that power versus chump change. It really made me think about what Louis C.K. said regarding people insulting people in traffic. And then you're just so willing to be insulted that you're just gonna roll down the window to partake in your own abuse. And basically, this is what this is. They have the power that the university allows them to have, and if they self-censor because they get a few 100,000 here and there, or because from what I saw in the contract, it's more like paying salaries. If this is what it takes to censor a whole institution, then goddamn, like I don't even know why they're paying to build roads and bridges in the third world. Like it's just for $1 billion a year, a few hundred mils, you can drown the entire like academia in the U.S. and the Western world. Like man, this is mad return on investment. This is amazing. I get the point they're trying to make. I get it, but at the same time, like, come on, like they have it. They have that power because you give it them. Like, oh, we're gonna leave and not pay like your 2 or 3 random dudes teaching Chinese. Yeah, that's nothing. That's peanuts. Plus, you have to provide them with uh, with actual infrastructure. So, like, yeah, like no, why would anyone agree to that is beyond me, and why anyone would think that this is actually providing the Chinese with leverage is also beyond me. I really don't understand what the fuss is all about. What do you think about that, man?
I don't know, dude. I always thought Confucius Institutes were a joke. Like nobody took that shit seriously. I mean,
It wasn't. No, technically it ain't. It ain't. And I recall when I met with the people who manage this, because the people say it's the Hanban, but no, it's actually not the Hanban. It's others. And they offered me money. It's like if you want, we'll give you like an envelope to start that. And when they provided me with the amount, which I won't talk about, but like it was so little. Like, are you kidding? Like I can't do anything with that. I was like, yeah, but they usually would match you dollar for dollar. I'm like, still, this is not a good deal. Like I'm not winning. Like I'm not gaining anything out of that. Like, oh, and then we'll send you the teachers and shit. Like, okay, so I don't hire locals for that. It's like, no. It's like, then where's my like? There's no incentives for me to do that. And aside from having a platform to teach Chinese, or I mean, to propagate some form of culture, I guess. But again, it's as far as you let them do it. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless, you know.
what's that?
Anyway, never mind. Uh, yeah, so that was one thing. But the other thing was really about this article I read about like the fact that China wants to mitigate male feminization with more gym classes. I was like, oh man, like I recall we read something about that a few years ago. You
Bro, they've
remember?
been trying to do this. They've been trying to do this for fucking years.
Like you remember they wanted to have boot camps for like or for yeah for dudes. I was like, yes, I don't know about that. I really don't know if that's gonna work. I get the point they're trying to make, But at the same time, I was like, oh man, like this is never gonna work.
Bro, the amount
Like
of like what's obesity levels in China? It's got to be pretty high.
I would assume it's more than 20% right now.
Like, yo, is yeah. I mean, they still do the Junshun shit when they hit university, right? Where you like go to like go like train with the army or some shit for like a week.
It stopped for a while, I think, but the enrollment has resumed.
Bro, this shit's fucking useless, man. Just just
I know.
enjoy your modern society, eat your carbs and get fat. It's done, man. There's no point.
Yeah, I know totally. I get it, but this is a very recurring thing. Like they talk about it like all the time. Like they keep coming back every 6 months or a year or so. So it's like at some point, like, oh yeah, little fresh meat. They're gonna have to reform that term. I was like, oh man, I can't believe they still call them that. I
But
can't
like,
believe it.
do you think that they're concerned with the quality of like army recruits? Is that the problem or what?
No, I think it's just an impression. Although to be fair, since we both trained in local gyms, I mean, I kind of get it.
Oh, bro,
Like I
I'm with the
mean,
party on this one. I'm with the party on
like
this one.
I kind of get it. It's like you get pinned by an empty bar. I was like, yeah, you like. I mean, stop eating carbs, bro. Like, just maybe, maybe stop the Joe and go with something else. Like, go with actual nourishment.
Oh,
Just
but
a few pounds would help. Just
bro, you
because,
know,
yeah.
more than one egg, bro.
Oh,
That's
it's bro. It's bro. Way too many booze inside your body. Oh man, more than one egg. Oh man, I
right.
still remember this.
Let
Oh
me
man.
let me flip through my notes. We got
Oh my god.
the quote unquote random default by county level government in Guizhou.
Oh yeah, random as hell. Super
US.
random.
Honestly, it's not even that much. It's 39.4 million US. So that's actually
That's it.
that's
That's
nothing.
all they reported. They only reported 39 mil. That's a
Yeah.
joke, right? Like, come on. No, no. Just 31 mil, bro. You remember what's the name of that county that got caught spending like over like billions of dollars for like museum and shit, and it's all like borrowed.
Yeah. I mean,
Like this shit,
39.4.
this shit's gonna default hard.
It's funny as always in Guizhou province. That's where your boy Chen Ming'er was for quite some
Oh
time.
yeah, and the rumors on the street are definitely not sounding good. And this is something like I think we talked about that like last episode or in the miniseries. We said like loyalty is important, but when you start appointing everyone you know to position, if they're not good at it or they do something that's reprehensible or they do shit like this, it's only you. At some point, you can't shield everyone. That's going to become a huge issue for 2022. It's like, bro, your boy left and he left a massive pile of like debt behind because like it's just like who cares, like the next one just gonna like deal with that because it's the infinite loop of debt. Like there's no incentive to pay it back because public quiche is public quiche in the end. So this is not looking good for him as a prospect for 2022. Like honestly, it doesn't look good.
I
Like this is
wonder,
a stain.
I wonder why these provincial, like especially like Guizhou, why don't these county level governments just buy some stake in Multi and then sell that stake to repay their fucking debt? That'd be smart.
Yeah, that'd be smart, but you remember, I think it was, let me think, it was I think it was, yeah, it was last year. A few people on the exec got like massively like gaped, like it was intense. They got removed because I mean there was like fake multi going around for sure, people like skimming the top and selling on the street for sure, but it was also about debt and people taking loans on top of multi. So I don't know to what extent that would have helped. Like to be fair, I don't know. Like if multi is really a way to go about this, I don't know. I don't think so anymore. Definitely not.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems they just let the bond mature. They
But
just let it mature.
oh,
They didn't even fucking come up with the plan before it matured. Wow, they just fucking rolled it. Holy shit. Well,
Yeah, but like I said, that this is just a spec, because I think I mean you alluded to it at some point, but like local debt is, I mean, some people get it, but the Western media, the way they report it, is like, oh yeah, like it's important, it's something that's dangerous. No, man, it's a ticking time bomb. It's much more important than what you could ever imagine. Some places, the amount of debt ratio, like what they report and what it actually is, like we don't even know the real number. Like
I don't
it's
think anyone knows.
unclear.
Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
exactly. Nobody knows, because the people who knew from the beginning got rotated and they got promoted elsewhere. So, like, bro, like, forgot, like, whoops, like,
And
whoops.
it's not like record keeping and bookkeeping in China is great. So
Well, speaking of that, you gave me the perfect segue for my thing. Record keeping and and resource. Oh man.
oh no.
Let's talk your favorite topic. Your
Oh.
favorite topic. And I will. And for people who don't know, since you studied under me for a while, and you, let's say, you offered me the best gift ever at the end of the semester by providing me with a paper on grain management.
Bro, it's important.
And I just couldn't believe you did that. I was like, you're such an ass. Like, you're such an ass.
Bro, I gamed the system.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't well versed in grain at the time, so it was like I just couldn't fight back. I couldn't fight back.
You see how useful this is now? This is relevant once again.
Actually, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, okay, so last year, to put more context into it, I think it was in August, the government started to say, like, oh yeah, we were having bountiful harvests. And I was like, no, you're definitely not, because we had mad drought in Jilin and Liaoning, like all the northeast provinces, like mad. It was intense, like crops just like burning in the fields or just drying up everywhere. The locusts in the southwest, and of course, lest we forget, mad floods in central China. It's like
that. Wait.
And COVID for like the labor. So there's no way the harvests were bountiful. Like, there's no way that was real.
I was just gonna add.
Oh yeah.
Flooding almost broke the sense. What's it called? The Three Gorges. Yeah, the Three Gorges Dam. Almost.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's a leeway to let's say it has some room to move, but the satellite pictures were definitely not looking great. Let me tell you that much. It wasn't looking great, but it has some. It can move a little. In any case, so as we know, the party didn't really deal with the floods, or deal like very slowly, and the labor-related issues were not really taken into account anyway, because like people couldn't return from the fields, which is very similar to what we've seen during the Great Leap Forward to a certain degree. The locusts, the labor, all that shit all together at once, which is usually very bad for like food in general and food scarcity. And then like the party hit us back with the anti-waste policy, which was a very nice way to say, like, okay, stop wasting food. It's like, yeah, bro, we know you're running out of food. I don't know, we're not running out of food. We just need to be less wasteful, which is fair. Which is fair, because like, if you've ever been to a banquet, you know that people are absolute dumbass. Like, oh yeah, filled up my plate. They just trashed all my plate and just left. I was like, yeah, good job. Anyway, so that's fair, but it was a very bad response to the issue at hand. And then they had the nerve to say that, oh yeah, grain production increased in 2020. I was like, are you out of your mind? Like, who believes that? And then India came out and said, like, oh yeah, like they just imported all that grain, that rice from us. I was like, oh, this is not looking good. And early 2021, Xi Jinping was like, okay, we need to make sure that all the land to like farm is available. I was like, yeah, this is a very bad sign. Something very bad is happening. Like, if you need to confirm that and say to people that land needs to be available for food production, that's something wrong. like really wrong. And people are trying to leave the rural areas. So I wouldn't be, let's say, surprised to see that they would put more regulations on people moving from the countryside back, uh, let's say, to urban areas because they need more labor. But anyway, that's still going to be an ongoing issue. But the problem is, and I think that was your favorite point about like grain management was like Grain Depot, because China is always flexing the Grain Depot on us all the time. And I was like, man, if you know anything about Grain Depot, like there's so many awesome stories about that. Because like the party has relied on this over years, like this intricate network of Grain Depot. But like during even in the 90s, like when Zhongji was like inspecting all that these depots, like he noticed that people were cheating hard and just putting like garbage or sometimes discarded leaves just to like fill up a hole under the grains, because at the time it wasn't silos, it was just like bags piled on top of each other, which again very bad because these were open air stuff, so exposed to the elements. So again, I mean, they didn't think that through at the time. That was not very smart. So now the thing that I guess they learned from the 50s. So sometimes local officials are just lending themselves batches of grain. So sometimes there's one batch of grain going from village to village for inspection purposes, but then in reality, it's just one batch of grain just being rolled around and just being borrowed. But in reality, like most of the silos are probably empty. And like I think I said when I wrote in the insights, when you can't do that, suddenly Grain Depot can just catch fire. like whoops, like it burned. And again, I think I wrote that too, is like you realize that the modern silos are made from non-combustible material, right? So like they don't suddenly burst. That's not how it works. It's probably because some people just drown that shit in gasoline and just light it up. And then of course, like when people come around for the inspection, it suddenly burned. Like, oh man, burned, solid burn, sad. And with like the new imports of grains, I just feel like this year is gonna be it's gonna be a tough year for food management, panic buying, and food scarcity, especially for grains and cereals. It doesn't look very good, man. Like the party doesn't need that. And again, maybe you can talk about that later, but like in terms of supply chains right now, it's definitely not a good time to be lacking anything.
Um, well, it is weird that they didn't just buy more from the U.S. Because there is the contract between the phase one trade deal that stipulates the purchase of agricultural goods. So I don't know why China just didn't purchase more from the U.S. Like, one, if you fill up your silos, and two, you get some goodwill points in the process, right? So
That's probably face related at this point.
yeah. And that was it this month that they reported the central government is going to release 20 to 30,000 tons of strategic reserves of pork into the market during the Chinese New Year period. Bro, it's not looking good. It's not good when
No.
you got to tap your reserves.
No, it's definitely not good. And especially because we know that this is a low buying period of time. So, like during the spring festival, like usually it's not people like the time when people are going to go crazy and just burn their quiche. So, releasing that now, it means that there's probably so little on the market that they absolutely need to release more meat. Like, so people are saying like, okay, yeah, China is the great, like victorious out of 2020. Is like again, like, look at the way the government behaves, like importing a shitload of cereals and grains, releasing all the meat on the market. That doesn't sound like a party that's like really confident in its position, especially to provide, I would say, social goods, but it's more like providing access to resources in this case. So again, like people just like, oh yeah, China wins. Like, yeah, I mean, not as much as you think. Always need to relativize. Oh, like these great these great victory discourses from the West about China as the only economy spring back and like all this. And like, yeah, I mean, what you see looks good, but what we see does not necessarily look good.
Yeah, you just have to pull the curtain back a little bit, and you start seeing how fucked up this quote unquote recovery has been. And so, for example, I was gonna mention earlier that um, like I think earlier last week I think Yitai reported that impairment losses at China security firms may have exceeded USD 3.1 billion last year, due mainly to a drop in the value of equity pledged for loans and a spate of high-profile corporate bond defaults. So, like the tanking of equity value across the board for Chinese companies, like this is gonna be awful for the major banks' books, because you're going to be booking a lot of non-performing assets now. And there has always been this discourse in recent times about deleveraging and getting rid of these kind of like bad loan zombie firms and stuff. But like, man, if you don't give them credit, like if you don't lend out money, these firms just die. And if these firms die, people become unemployed, and that's a whole different issue. But if you keep lending to these firms, they stay alive, but then they just murder your books. So it's just kind of like,
well, they murder your books, but you know that the Chinese circular economy is wide. So when there's too much NPLs, you know what's happening. You know what happens. They usually have they set up firms, or they have these like liquidation firms from Hong Kong, like buying the loan.
One of them in particular.
Yeah, one of them in particular, but like, you know what I mean? But again, it doesn't mean that the loan is technically out of the wood. Like, it doesn't appear anywhere. Although, to be fair, they used to hide a lot of non-performing loans like this in Hong Kong up until people figured it out. I was like, wow, you guys take a long time to figure that out. And I'm going to do a slight segue onto something else I've read like in Reuters this morning that just flabbergasted me. And I don't understand why people are so dumb. The group that's called a BGI. I think it's Huada.
What do they do?
Doesn't matter. It's one of the biggest genomic enterprise or company and research center in the world. And there's like they were reporting online like, oh, like, do you know they collaborated with the PLA? I was like, yeah, like this is something that has been known since, and I found the report from 2003. I was like, bro, do you realize that you're reporting on this 17 years after the fact that we know? And because they have work on so many things for like vaccines and also supplements for the army and also like some genetic testing. Bro, they have been working with the PLA for decades, and finally now you're saying, oh, that they might have this might be a security risk. Like, yeah, good job. Oh man, like, bro, the sheer, let's say, lack of due diligence, again, like we said last time with police training in BC, the sheer lack of due diligence is flabbergasting. It's like, have you like you didn't think of just asking any firm on planet Earth that does due diligence and ask them like, oh, do they have a history of working with the party or the military? Like, no, you couldn't think of. No, you couldn't.
Well,
I'm still like, I feel like there's a pattern of stupidity in Western firms or Western in the Western world in general. Of like, I think they equate, or they want to buy things just like they buy things here. Do you have this feeling sometimes? Like, I feel like they feel like, okay, I can buy that thing because it's a biotech company and I can buy biotech here, so should be the same thing. Like, I don't need to push too much. But in reality, even when you buy coffee in China, sometimes you would probably need to do diligence just to make sure where the beans are coming from. Like this is very, it's typical Western, like, not thinking about verifying things properly. Just like drinking water can be a gamble in China. Depending on what water you take, it's a gamble. Just don't go and buy a bottle of water thinking like, it's just bottled water. Wrong. Wrong.
Yeah, this goes back to what we were saying about the fucking the Nuctech thing. And for
And
people,
oh my
people
God.
basically what happened was the Canadian government, specifically the foreign ministry, bought a bunch of fucking equipment from a Chinese company called Nuctech that was
Yeah.
controlled by Hu Jintao or Jiabao's son. Which one?
No, it's a Hu Haifeng.
Okay, yeah. So Hu Jintao's fucking family, and literally no joke. If somebody at the foreign ministry in Canada put this Nuctech name into Google, second page you would have found this connection. No joke, second page Google, and
Yeah,
they
probably. So, yeah, second page. So to be fair, the due diligence on this one was super easy. I'm not saying like, okay, BGI, like for us, we're used to it. Like you just tell me it's this kind of firm, and you would ask me the question, have they probably worked with the PLA? My response, if I know nothing about the company, would probably be yes, regardless. Okay, regardless, because we know, and you probably would have to dig a little bit deeper, just a little bit deeper. Nuctech was just on the second page, or maybe on the first page if you're lucky enough. And that's not to say, like, for example, the Xiaomi and the PLA connection. Okay, you had to dig a little bit more for that. That's fair. But again, if you're a good in due diligence, you'd be able to find it. Although, is it a legitimate link? I mean, from my perspective, no. It's very
tangential. It's very tangential.
Like I've seen much better than that. Let's say it this way: I've seen much better than that. This is just a dude that's financing a program. I was like, okay, I get that it's running contrary to the U.S. interest. I get it, but I mean, you could say that from so many fundings and so many hedge funds. So it's like, I don't know if it's very legit to that. Anyway, but yeah, so if you just check, you would know. And I just don't get it why people are so surprised. But oh yeah, they work with the military. Yeah, probably. Most likely they did. Like if you don't know that, like, and the military is just people say sometimes they're more specialized in the military. Although to be fair, they're not specialized on people; they're specialized on armaments, which doesn't really help to understand how the military works, because you need to understand people and how they're related, and why Xi Jinping is always trying to re-centralize the military towards his position is because somebody else controls the military a little bit more than him, and that could be an issue. And this is something I think that's a recurring theme for maybe the last one or two issue of Insights. I think we've talked about the military because there's massive moves in top command, and people, I feel they're not seeing it, or they're saying, "Oh no, like she's really reinforcing his position." No, this is not what's happening. If you see people moving too much, there's too much turnover in Beijing. It doesn't mean that he's doing that. It means that people, like, there's a loyalty issue here, or there's trust issues. This is what it means, and I think, like, from all the very reprehensible attempt at doing things, because I don't want to say that word, the C word, because a lot of profiles have disappeared from Baidu recently. A lot of them have completely disappeared. A lot of military profiles have disappeared, which, I mean, you could probably understand why, right?
Yeah, continue.
But anyway, we won't say that word because we want to dive into that. But if you see, especially in the Beijing garrison, if you want to understand the state, or let's say how the party feels in terms of security, look at the Beijing garrison, how people are being rotated, who's being appointed, and what's the turnover rate in the Beijing garrison. Very important. And also you can check the political commissars, but the commanders are a little bit more important because, you know, if something happens, they will be the one on the ground with the garrison, or I mean the I don't think you can say peloton, but like the units or the guards. Anyway, that specifically. Yeah. So always look at the turnover rate. Very important.
Another big thing happened. Lai Xiaoming got executed.
Yeah, finally.
It was quick though. They killed him pretty quick. It was like what? Sentence, and then boom, right away they
It was on the 5th, and he was sentenced on the no. He was sentenced on the 5th, and the judgment was upheld, and then he was killed like 2.5 weeks afterwards.
I thought it was 29th. No, I thought he got executed on the 29th.
Okay, around 3 weeks. Around 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But like for people who think they understand why, like, oh, it's because he like the 1.7 bill, that's completely besides the point, because these are reported numbers. The people who actually steal the most are people that have non-reported numbers or unreported amount of bribery. These are the people that like probably did the most amount of shit. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is, and again, I don't want to dive too deep into that because it's like I haven't had time to research all of the points, but like you have to understand that if he was allowed to do that for so long, it's because he had the support of a lot of people, not necessarily people from the 90s like Jiang Zemin and maybe Zhou Rongji or stuff like this, but potentially also the support of people like Wang Qishan. So if he was allowed to go in 2013 and moving forward, it's because he had support from the financial elite of the time. That's one thing. Second thing is you need to see this guy as a Xiao Jianhua on steroids, basically, because I mean Xiao Jianhua is a few. I mean, total assets were a few bill, but like Lai Xiaomin was managing tens of bills, like literally tens of billions of dollars. So it's not the same scale. But then you need to wonder why was he killed so swiftly. It's probably because both sides wanted him dead. And when I say both sides, it's people like, for example, Zheng Xinhong, and also people like Wang Qishan wanted him dead, because if he has all the names and you know where all the accounts are or the pseudonyms and who has what where, especially in Hong Kong, that could be very bad if it were to get out during an investigation. You definitely don't want that out. So the easiest solution was, of course, to dispose of Lai Xiaomin as fast as possible.
Yeah, they got him out of there quick.
Very quick. Some people are still waiting. Some people are still waiting to be executed because they haven't had the commuted death sentence. I remember one of the guys in one of the lists we have has been on the death row for a few years now, hasn't been killed, but they have not commuted the death sentence. It's like, okay, so he's just waiting to die. But this dude was like first instance, next week, second, boom, died 3 weeks afterwards, boom, dead.
I mean, wait, they probably milked all the information. He was under investigation for quite some time, right? 2 years?
Yes. I can check. Hold on. I think, did I cover Lai Xiaomin on that list?
I think he was taken in 2017.
Sorry, man, it's not on my list yet. I think I haven't covered Lai Xiaomin yet.
Oh well. Anyways, regardless, they put his ass under lockdown for quite some time. So,
but you need to remember, usually when we know that they're under investigation, it's because they have been under investigation for a little while.
Yeah. So what I mean is,
yeah,
probably got everything they needed, and they just fucking took his ass out.
Yeah, probably. Or I think they were tracing assets to a certain point, and when you get what you need, like you said, now is the time to take him down. Because I recall the latest information on what they were able to track were like cars and luxury goods and the supermarket for quiche that they found. This is just goes like the supermarket for quiche was really a house with quiche everywhere, just piled on everywhere. And he said, I think, that a lot of people, like a few people had access to the house. So you just go in and you just do a withdrawal. And he said, like, I'm going shopping. It's like, wow, this is the best kind of shopping ever. You just go in with your shopping cart, you just file with quiche and you leave. That's amazing. That's amazing. And keep that in mind. This was done in Beijing under the nose of hundreds of security cameras. So that just goes to say what I think what we said last time. Like you can, like if you know the rules and you don't do some publicly reprehensible shit, you can actually get out by doing a lot of things. Like you could probably open a crack house and nobody would notice. Probably, most likely, nobody would notice. Just like that dude who had a house full of cash from top to bottom. It's like, and nobody noticed. I'm still flabbergasted about that. Like nobody noticed. Like
Uh,
wow.
Other thing is H&A Group fucking finally going to insolvency restructuring. Fucking finally. This took ages, man. I remember we were talking about this like 2015, I think. Or no, like 2017, I think.
2017 makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, like
2017. Yeah,
dude, this thing took a while to die. After multiple defaults, like it is finally on its last leg, and I
but
really
it won't be allowed to die.
no.
It
But
won't be allowed to die.
I hope the party strips it for assets because the airline is valuable. The airline is actually very good. The H&A airline is very
Yeah, it's good. But I know what you mean. Like a non-financial institution who starts to be a financial institution. Very big red flag. Big red flag. Yeah, so all the financial arm of HNA will probably be dismantled, probably. But I think we mentioned that like 3 years ago. Yeah, it's been 3 years now. Uh, they have to be very careful. I think the reason why it took so long is because somebody had to exit his position. Basically, had to find a way to exit that position and keep his money. Yeah,
yeah, which is fair. But I mean, like all things considered, airline great, keep it.
yeah,
Keep the
yeah. I
airline.
know.
Everything else can
Very
go.
good. Yeah, but yeah, and the service was great. Like I think we took HNA once. It was pretty good. Yeah, but I mean, like I I have a feeling that the potentially the construction bank will take some of the assets. That's my take. I think. Yeah, some of
Oh,
it. Yeah, I think so. It would
any
make sense. It would make sense.
I saw a pretty funny thing earlier. There was like the PBOC, the central bank came out to publicly dispel rumors that they'd be raising short-term interest rates. And again, this comes back to what we said about rumors, bro. Even the central bank cannot escape rumors. Like this is wild.
And then you wonder why people are getting punished uh, for whistleblowing, because at the beginning, whistleblowing is nothing more than a rumor. To be fair, and I mean, like, listen to this. If that were to be true, like, and that, or let's say it's just a rumor, you can't let it survive. You can't let it thrive. Otherwise, it will create chaos among SOEs and like small businesses. You cannot. So whoever started that will feel, oh man, he's probably already jailed. Whoever said that is probably already being detained somewhere.
Yeah. Again, this just goes to show like I think to be fair, that might be a structural problem because usually, like at least in the U.S., the Federal Reserve is pretty honest and open about interest rate targeting and stuff, whereas the PBOC kind of just fucking randomly does it with like no warning whatsoever. So maybe they can
Yeah,
improve on that front.
you only know that they said something, but they never really announce it that far ahead,
No,
like when they're gonna say,
you go to their website and then you're like, oh shit, these guys did something.
bro, just randomly, just like the passport thing. Although we don't really need to talk about it, to be fair, but just like the passport thing, it was in the air, but suddenly, boom, for Hong Kong, like boom, they just changed it, just like that, boom.
Yeah, but that was precipitated by the UK doing dumb shit. Because the
Yeah,
UK,
no, fair, yeah, fair. The immigration program, but to be fair, I think Canada is doing the same, or they're thinking about doing it. If they're not, it hasn't been done yet. I think they're preparing to do something like that too.
so I actually I got to read more into it, but I don't know. Like, let's say you're holding the BNO passport, but you also
Yeah,
have a Hong Kong passport, and then
yeah.
opting to go with the BNO passport. Does that mean you forfeit the Hong Kong passport?
It sounded like that.
If that's the case, let's say you apply for immigration, you don't get it, you're just fucking stateless. Like, is that what you are?
Um, I don't think that would be the case. I don't think that would be the case. Like I think it would be more of a like your the BMO thing is just taken away from you, and then you just become you just go back to being a Hong Kong national. Although I don't know because they usually improvise a lot on these things, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, and I know,
Because to be fair, I don't think they have thought that through in terms of what you described just now. I don't think they thought about it. I just don't think they did.
to be fair, it's like, I mean, like, you know what the situation is, fucking figure it out. But also, I know there's a bunch of there's a lot of Hong Kong people that do the, you know what, and you know what I'm talking about, because fucking mainlanders do this too, where they'll enter the country with one
Yeah.
passport. And then
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the point I wanted to make. Yeah, totally. And that's why I have sometimes very little sympathy for people who are crying foul right now, because like they do this all the time. And from the Chinese perspective, I was like, yeah, I kind of respect it, because like choose one. Because I've seen people being detained in airports in China, like we caught you, and they're crying like, no, I'm Canadian, but like, yeah, just don't cry foul. Everybody knew what you did. You enter using the Chinese passport, and you exited using the Canadian one. But you got caught in China. Well, I mean, tough shit for you, man. You know the rules. Like, you're not supposed to do that. You apply for the and all of this is just to save like what, $100 for like the multiple entry shit. All of this for $100. I was like, this is just unreal. Like, why would you take all this gamble for $100?
it's also
And
so easy to get caught. Like, bro, these are fucking computers. Like, they can catch you going in. Like, oh man,
yeah, they know. They know. Oh, you've been gone for 30 years. It's like, bro, like, come on, man. They know. They absolutely know. And they and the good thing is you can still self-report. So you arrive, like after you get the passport, you can go and you can report yourself, and they to destroy the card and the things in front of the custom officers. You can do that, and that's good. You should. But if you get caught, I was like, man, why would you? And I think that's the thing people in Hong Kong are afraid, because like they I think a lot of people have done that, so the government doesn't know who has what, and this will streamline the process of like who can get the right to buy houses in Hong Kong also, because people and that's just not just for Hong Kong. Like I think Lebanon, we have this a similar issue. A lot of people they come here to get the citizenship, then they go back, and they have the other one. Then they don't feel like being there, they just go back. And this is just to put the regulations on par with mainland. Basically, that's what it's going to do. So, if you didn't know that was coming and you're crying foul, I don't have a lot of sympathy for you on that. Like,
yeah, because
no,
I know
like not really.
I've heard of stories of mainlanders who will like live in Canada with a Canadian passport, go back to China, and then start claiming social security benefits through the hukou system. And I'm like, bro, you deserve to be jailed just for that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That-
yo, bro. Well, like, and why? And it's, to be fair, it's so little. Unless
Yeah,
it's
I
a
know,
very
it's
good,
nothing. It's nothing.
unless it's a very good pension, I would kind of get it. But at the same time, it's like they will catch you sooner or later, and these are not Canadian jails. You get it, right? Like, and you cannot just repay and potentially escape jail like you could probably do here. Because if it's the first offense, you can pay back, and you can even tone it down to community service. But that wouldn't work there. Like, you don't, like, people don't think. And at the same time, I think that doing that, regardless of like, they expect maybe 300,000 people to leave Hong Kong, which is potentially fair. That would probably help with the local real estate a little.
Well, I know it's going down now because COVID has driven all the foreigners out. So rent is like collapsing, which is great for me. But we'll see. I mean, long term, you know,
Mainlanders will come in to fill in the void, and
yeah,
you know
not,
that.
not necessarily so though, because remember that global income tax is about to hit them hard.
Oh yeah, so actually the incentive to come and work in Hong Kong will diminish over time.
Yeah, same with
Yeah.
buying a house because you have to report it and you get taxed on it. So
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, no, you're right. So actually, I think mainly people with families will think of leaving, because young professionals, I think just for the cash and the salary, I think they will stay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Plus, if you don't have the BNO passport, you're just fucked anyway. So.
Oh, like what are you doing here in the first place, pal? Like why? Oh man.
Oh, it was
Oh,
so funny. Earlier, oh my
this
God, earlier this month. I don't know if you saw, but basically there was like a lawmaker that fled Hong Kong and like I think he's in the UK or something, Ted Hui, I think. And then basically the Hong Kong government was like, yo, you gotta freeze his bank accounts. So HSBC froze his bank accounts. And then the fucking US Parliament, or not sorry, not US, the UK Parliament brought up HSBC and was like, yo, why are you freezing his bank accounts? HSBC was like, but we also froze Carrie Lam's bank accounts as per the US sanctions. So it's just like, both sides crying foul at this. Oh man.
but it's always about who's going to be crying foul the loudest. It's always like that, and for which reason? It's always unclear. But like, there's always someone who's going to cry foul, and usually on the Chinese side, they sometimes cry foul at the same time for no reason. I was like, oh man, and that Davos. Oh yeah, the Davos meeting. Oh man, that was like a literal crying foul, like all the way through. That was literally crying foul all the way. We need more mutual respect and like multilateralism. I was like, okay, bro, we know what you're saying. Like, you're not Trump, and you want to be framed as post-Trump and the champion of multilateralism, and also like uh let's say the champion of like the rationale of leaving state doing their own things, which sounds good when you think about it, but when you look at it a little bit further into it, you're like, yeah, you're just saying basically the people stop fucking with us. Like basically that's what you're saying, is like, stop with interference. Like, you realize that people are fucking with your shit. And like,
But to be fair, if you think
like,
about it, it's a perfect corollary to what's happening these past 2 weeks in terms of the stock market. Is that all these hedge funds are now crying for more regulation because they got their ass squeezed hard. So it's just, it's everywhere.
oh yeah, it's everywhere. But at the same time, how to really interpret the discourse is more like a call out to Joe Biden, because uh, the word is that as of now, Biden has yet to call Xi Jinping.
Oh shit.
So yeah, so people are like getting worried about Taiwan and the planes. Like, don't be worried about that. Like, this is, let's say, a way to cry foul by trying to flex, when like just trying to square up in like the void. You're just squaring up. So like, hey, look, I'm right here, brah. Like, this is what it is. It's like they're trying to use Taiwan as a proxy, to force Biden to like, hey, you need to talk with Xi Jinping right now. This is what's happening. And the other random dude, the rando, like I think he's called Wu Xian or something like this. I forgot his full name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The guy who said like, oh, containing China is impossible. I was like, bro, your memory is so bad. Your memory is bad. And beside that, that's just besides the point. It's also, you're saying that because you're taunting the US to call Xi Jinping. This is what it's been all about. Like, the month of January, when you say like the planes are going to Taiwan, if Taiwan declares independence, it's war, containing China is impossible. Like, all of that rhetoric is not to say that they want to do that, because I mean they could, but that was not the point. It's like trying to use this as a proxy to force the Biden administration to open up the communication channel with Xi Jinping without Xi Jinping doing it in his own name. And for those who understand what it means, it's always about face. It's like, oh yeah, Biden called me first, brah. It's just what it is. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, this is school. Like, this is schoolyard politics at this point. It's like, we know you want him to call you. We know. Just calm down. Like, calm down. He's gonna call you. I just think, like you said, Biden needs to get his shit together, and his domestic agenda is rolling in. So he's not entirely focused on like is China policy and or Asia Pacific right now, maybe in Q2 or Q3, like you said, that's probably going to be where like all the foreign policy agenda will be really unveiled and like implemented potentially. But right now, I don't think this is what they want to deal with.
Bro, Biden doesn't give a fuck about anyone aside from passing that fucking stimulus bill right now. That's all he gives a shit about.
Yeah, exactly. So like China trying to taunt the US, or because you've seen like the reactions were very lukewarm, like nobody really reacted because they know it's like bro, calm down, like sit down, like you're just way too nervous right now, just calm down.
Bro,
Nobody really.
what I don't get is like, okay, China knows the US is just dealing with domestic right now. And it's also like, bro, we're almost about to hit Chinese New Year. Just fucking sit down, have a tea, and just relax. Relax, bro. You don't got the US riding your ass right now. Just fucking chill out. Deal with this in March. You know what I mean? Regroup and deal with this in March. Just hang out for a while.
It's gonna be tough to wait for March because I think they want to have their. I think Beijing wants to have its foreign policy tuned, or at least like ready to roll out by March, because in March it's going to be the two sessions. So this is where they would unveil like what their plan is too. So I think that's why they want to meet or talk as early as possible to see like what's the Biden agenda, like how do we gauge him and his administration, and then how do we react to that, and how like what kind of policies will we, like, let's say, discuss in 2 months time. I mean, now it's just in 1 month's time. Yeah, almost 5 weeks. So I think that's why they're very, very eager to hear Biden say something, or for Biden to call Xi Jinping right now.
So you think if you were the US, a funny strategy would just be just like ignore everything China's doing right now? Just completely ignore. Like
Oh my god,
don't even put out a statement, just fucking just completely ignore them.
that would be amazing. That would be so amazing, because sometimes, as we've said before, doing nothing is just so much better than doing anything. Don't engage. Just let them be riled up in their corner. Just don't engage.
I
Sometimes it's the best. Sometimes it's the
yeah,
best possible thing. Don't engage. Don't take the bait. Just remove yourself from the situation. Just don't engage.
I did love that US general that was talking shit about China's fucking anti-ship missiles, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, just keep pouring money into that shit. That shit might not actually be as effective as you think."
Well, yeah, of course they don't. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. Like, they haven't had a significant war since the 50s. so so
Yeah,
and very
we'll
very
give him,
little
we'll give him
oh
60.
oh yeah, Vietnam. Yeah,
No,
calm down.
when was the Sino-Indian War? That was like 60s, right?
It's not a war. It's a skirmish at best. Are you out of your mind? Oh man.
Okay, fair.
Uh,
Korean War,
what
last major conflict.
Yeah, because like the rest are just like skirmishes at best. Because you're not talking about, oh yeah, there was a first campaign of the Sino-Indian War, second campaign, and when they deployed that, like no, none of that happened. Like no, no. So they don't know what's really effective. So they invest in tons of shit that in reality might not be useful. That's the thing. Like the anti-missile, like, or like anti-boats, anti-boat missile stuff like this, like okay, but like in reality what you need to have are more like nuclear submarines, because this is the thing. And I think they have a few around Hainan, because this is where like the most advanced base is for the Pacific. And that's why you probably will never see uh, a lot of important civilian infrastructure on the island. That's one of the reasons. But yeah, they don't know. And even I think we talked about it in one of the papers. The problem is like you get all these new equipment, but if you have no training ground, it's kind of pointless. And like you can say whatever you want about the US, but like they had the chance to test a lot of their crap on the field to know what is useful and what is not useful. So when they deploy, they know what they have, they know what they need, and they know how it works. The Chinese right now, they have a lot of things, not quite sure how it works in real life situation. And if they had to deploy, I'm not sure that logistically speaking, they would know what to use for what type of warfare. So you can have all the men you want, all the missiles you want. It's going to be complicated. It's going to be really complicated in the end.
Yeah. They need to start getting involved in like the Middle East or some shit, bro. You know, do some practice rounds against ISIS or some shit.
Well, I mean, you know, and I think people are not outraged enough about the region, but you know, they used to test a lot of the weapons in a certain Western region.
I mean,
It used to be a practice ground for that. Like I remember.
Where do they test their nukes? Don't tell me it's there.
They used to do it in the Gobi Desert.
God damn.
They used to do it like I don't know if they still do it there, but I recall they did it there before. Yeah, underground detonation.
Oh, I saw there was I don't know if it happened this month, but my friend pinged this to me. But basically, like China tried to join some nuclear arms treaty organization with the U.S. and Russia, and the U.S. was like, "Oh, dope! Like this is like nuclear non-proliferation, right?" But per the wait, this gets better. But per the rules of the organization is that everybody has to bring their stockpile to the lowest amount within the organization. So that'd be China. So everybody would be sitting on like 250 nukes, and the U.S. rejected their application. Bro.
My God. But again, to be fair, reported numbers versus real numbers. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not
what were they sitting
unclear.
at? Like 400? Like, bro, that's more than enough.
Yeah, but like, I mean, we're talking about invading potentially an island. So this is kind of all useless. like, if the goal is just to invade Taiwan, all of this is pointless. Like, all of that crap is useless. Like, you need speed, deployment capability, and potentially, hopefully, non-lethal. So this is out of the question. This doesn't work. So you're using that for what? And they're buddies with Pakistan. So, like, why keeping all this stockpile? I mean, again, I think some part or subsections of the high command are still stuck in the 60s or the 70s mentality. Although they're getting younger, but and oh yeah, and this is funny when I'm saying younger. Oh yeah. So think about it this way, okay? So the most advanced experience you could get in the Chinese army right now would be to be a veteran of, of the China Vietnam War.
God damn.
Like this is this on your tip top. Like this is where it is right now. Oh,
AK-47 levels.
oh my God! It's like in the U.S. you'd have commander who did like Desert Storm, like actual campaign and stuff like this, or rounds in Afghanistan and shit like this. But what you'd have as a leading instructor or leading commander or even general, I think no, I'm saying it wrong. I think it's more like Shangjiang, so it will be like a 4-star general or people that potentially have partaken in the Sino-Vietnamese War. That's it. Oh man,
Yeah.
bro, think about it. Think about it. Like this is not good for being prepared. So, when Xi Jinping talks about like being ready for war, keep these information in mind. I'm not talking to you specifically. I'm talking about like the people who really enjoy this magnificent podcast. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, keep that in mind. Like, yeah, you need to be ready for war at a moment's notice. It's like, what kind of war can they really engage in right now? And like, you see what I mean? Like, yeah, they're ready for what exactly? That's the other question. What can they actually do? Because they they haven't participated in a lot of even peacekeeping missions because they don't want to do that because it's kind of like, ugh, who wants to do that? Canada, we love it. Canada, we love peacekeeping mission, bro. We love it to be like bullets squandering like targets. We love it.
Sure.
But yeah,
They
but
lost the Vietnam War too, so it's not even a great war. They fucking lost that shit. So,
I mean, that's irrelevant because that's all they have on the curriculum right now.
man, that's fucking sad, bro. Anyways,
It's like, yeah, that's all you have. So being prepared and being afraid of like the China doing something, I'm always saying like calm down. just calm down. It's just someone who's trying to square up in a schoolyard. Like they're just trying to square up. Just calm down, let them be. they're gonna deflate at some point.
yeah, they're not gonna do shit. They're not gonna do shit.
No, they won't.
That's a great way to end this episode. They're not gonna do shit.
That's brilliant.
All right, that's another episode wrapped up. Goodbye, everyone.